Hello there, my fellow Criterion collectors. Today I have some brand new titles to talk about. All of these 4K and all of them UK and US releases. I'm going to be talking a bit about Godzilla vs Biolante. Also, I have Performance and the recent release of Drugstore Cowboy. But before I share my thoughts on these releases, we have some news for UK collectors because we have some announcements. We have an additional title announced for the month of May. Sean Baker's Prince of Broadway will be coming to a UK Blu-ray. And then going into the month of June, we have Abbas Kiarostami's The Wind Will Carry Us coming to Blu-ray. We also have The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, the great Jacques Demy film, coming to a 4K and Blu-ray release in the UK. And then as a third title for the month of June, we have 32 short films about Glenn Gould. Now, I've only seen this listed as a Blu-ray release, although the US has a 4K release as well. I have to imagine we will get the 4K, although maybe we're only getting the Blu-ray. That would be a shame if so. But yeah, at the moment, it just seems like the announcement lists a Blu-ray, but we will see. Anyway, let's get into it. Drugstore Cowboy, Gus Van Sant's film, coming to a 4K and a Blu-ray release. This was my first time seeing the film, so I was going into this blind. I'd heard good things about it, but I didn't really know what was contained within the film. The film stars Matt Dillon, who plays this leader of this gang who go around robbing pharmacies for their drugs and abusing said drugs and getting into all sorts of trouble. And the film is really trying to look at this type of person, this character. Why are they doing these things? What are the consequences, the ramifications? And it's quite eye-opening. You know, Gus Van Sant as a filmmaker really is able to shine a light on some dark things, some dark aspects of humanity and the struggles of people in very sticky situations. And if it wasn't already a good enough drug-related film, it stars one of the most notable drug users of recent history, William S. Burroughs, in a great performance in this film. It was really good to see him, especially because it made me think back to the documentary on Burroughs that is within the Criterion Collection, something that I need to revisit soon. So a really fantastic film, not one that has shot up to like instant favourite status for me, but one I am eager to revisit in the future. Even though this was set in the 1970s and made at the end of the 1980s, it has a very 90s feel to it. So this was probably a very key piece of cinema in leading into the independent boom of the 1990s. I think a lot of filmmakers would have looked at this and taken inspiration. At least that's my guess. So this gets a strong recommendation from me if you like this kind of story, these kinds of characters. Now, really showing the breadth of the types of films within the Criterion Collection. Following Drugstore Cowboy, we have Godzilla vs Biolante. This is one of the 1980s Godzilla movies, apparently the second in the resurgence of Godzilla in the 80s. Admittedly, this is a period of Godzilla history that I am not familiar with at all. So this was really an entry point for me, and it will be interesting to see if we get more of the Godzilla movies from this time period coming to Blu-ray and 4K, whether that's from Criterion or another label, because I think they are largely absent on physical media at the moment. Now, this isn't really a straightforward Godzilla kaiju movie. Yes, you have Godzilla. Yes, you have Biolante, which is this giant plant-like creature with these vines and this big flower head, and it's taken from a rose and then the scientist's daughter and Godzilla, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. I do love all of the effects shots in this though, and it's kind of disgusting, all of the slime and the gunk and the ooze that is centered around Biolante. But it isn't just all the kaiju stuff, because it's going back to the roots of Godzilla, which is focusing on the human stories as well. So here you have people trying to race to get this biological super weapon ready, and you have spies and all sorts of crazy stuff mixed in. It's really quite incomparable, this film. I can't think of anything that is quite like this. So it really is one that has to be seen, and I'm probably not doing a very good job of selling this one to you, but it is quite fantastic. The 4K image looks great and it sounds great as well. I don't believe there was HDR on this. I can't actually remember because I watched it a few days ago now. But I have nothing to compare it to, obviously. This is the first time I'm seeing this. So in terms of if you're a Godzilla purist and you know this film very well, I don't know how this compares to older presentations of the film. But from what I gather, this was quite hard to watch anyway. So to get it on this 4K and Blu-ray is a special thing, and I'm very happy that Criterion introduced this film to me. And then we come to a film that I was quite familiar with. It is Performance, directed by Donald Cammell and Nicholas Roeg. I watched this one for the first time many years ago because I was on a bit of a Nicholas Roeg spree. I think I must have watched Don't Look Now or Walkabout first, and then went and tried to watch almost everything that he's made, including when he started off in cinematography. I think his first film was Far From the Madding Crowd, I think, or one of those. Anyway, that's off topic. But this was definitely an eye-opening film to see from him. And then you got Donald Cammell sharing the directing duties. But anyway, I've not even described what the film is about. This is set in the swinging 60s in London. We follow this young guy who's a criminal. He's on the run from his boss, and he ends up hiding out with this rock star played by Mick Jagger, who is kind of playing himself in this role. And the film very much becomes about these two men, these two characters, kind of changing personalities, and things become very loose. The lines between play and what is reality start to blur. So it's one of these very fascinating films from this period, very experimental, kind of reflecting a lot of the swinging 60s and drug use. But it's a film that I love very dearly because I have a real fondness for these films that focus on two characters and the nature of their relationship and characters changing over time, a bit like Persona or The Servant and films of that nature. It's a really great film, one to see for Mick Jagger's performance for sure. And I thought it looked great on the 4K with the Dolby Vision HDR. So a wonderful time was had watching this. And there are some great special features on here as well, including a documentary about Donald Cammell, and there's also a making of the film as well. A great release, highly recommended from me. So there you have it, 3 great releases on 4K and Blu-ray from Criterion, both in the United Kingdom and the United States. So hopefully no matter where you are in the world, you have some way of accessing these titles. I can't wait to see what comes next from Criterion, and it's exciting to get more of those UK announcements, as I mentioned at the top of the video. Click the video that's on screen right now if you want some more recommendations from me. Until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.